Welcome back to the channel, Anime Scholars. What's going on, my people? So I just got done recording the Megami Explain video, and that should be dropping. Let's see. So I'm gonna post this video on Monday. So that means that video is gonna drop either Friday or the following Monday, because I got another video that I need to post. So I don't know when I'm gonna drop that one, but I was explaining Megami, right? I was explaining everything to do with Megami. I didn't explain basically too much of manga stuff with Megami, like towards the end, like what happens to him and whatnot, because I didn't want to, like just ruin the story for you if you didn't watch it. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, it's been out for a minute, so like if you want me to talk about that, I'll talk about that towards the end of this video. So just so you could keep that in the back of your head, towards the end of the video you're gonna get some some manga spoilers. But something I was talking about was the 10 shadows technique and all the 10 shadows, right? No. So I only talked about the ones in the anime in that video. I meant to talk about all of them. So that made me think about, oh, I gotta like film a little bit like of a clip and add it to that video. But instead of doing that, which I'm not gonna do that, instead of doing that, I was like, I recorded a video way like back in the day about the 10 shadows technique, but I never ranked the 10 shadows technique themselves, like the Shikigami. So I was like, that'd be a fun video. Why not? So this is basically what that video is. We're going to go ahead and rank all 10 and the totalities, because you could basically merge some of the 10 shadows together. So I'm going to basically rank all the 10 shadows Shikigami together in this video right now. So let's get into it. So that would mean that we have a total of 13 different Shikigami that we're going to be ranking here today. All right, so that being said, we're going to start off with our number 13, and you already know I got my list here. So starting off with number 13 of the Shikigami of the 10 shadows. I know, weird. We're starting off with Rapid Escape. Now, that being said, I'm not going to sit here and say Rapid Escape is not dope, because I don't know if you saw those bunnies, but they were going at it with Toji, alright? The one was throwing hands, got pushed back, and they came back for round 2, throwing hands. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But yeah, Rapid Escape basically is just summoning a ton of rabbits that basically can either like encompass the entire battlefield where your opponent can't see you anymore, try to throw hands with your opponent. They're just rabbits at the end of the day, so like it's not gonna do too much against your opponent. That's why we gotta put them at the bottom of the list. But they are a cool technique, and they could make it that you have a lot of support in a way. It could make it that you even could disappear from the battlefield if you really try to, if you're fast enough. Use Rapid Escape, hop on New Way, get the hell out of there type. So not too bad. Moving on to number 12, we have Great Serpent, and at the end of the day, we only saw Great Serpent ever in one, I'm pretty sure just one battle, and since it got taken out by Sukuna so fast, we can't really put it too high, but it is a huge, I want to say it's an anaconda, but at the end of the day, I really do think it's a boa constrictor. Not that it matters. The other thing, too, is, what is he gonna, wrap up with that? Like, we didn't see the full body of it, but obviously it's huge. But what is he at the end of the day gonna wrap up with it? Like, it's not gonna constrict anything. There's nothing out there. He's not gonna get Rika. Like, what is he gonna wrap up with Great Serpent? I mean, he really should have tried to exercise like one of the greater Shikigami, like Roundier or something like that, like Maharaga, with Great Serpent while it was still around. But I mean, like, what are you really gonna wrap up? You're not gonna constrict any of your opponents. I mean, you could use it to bite them, sure, and like tag team with New Way like he was doing, but you saw how that ended up, so that's why he's coming in at number 12. So number 11, we got Toad. Alright, so Toad, I'm not gonna lie, very useful, very handy. One of the few Shikigami that is still around in his kit, because at the end of the manga, Megami only has Toad, he has well, he didn't even exercise Piercing Ox himself, but he has Piercing Ox, Max Elephant, and Divine Dog Totality. Oh, and he has Rapid Escape. So he has 5 Shikigami. Yeah. That's kind of sad. But not too bad, though. At the end of the day, it's not too bad. I'm going to explain why towards the end. So basically, when I'm listing all these, you got to take it with a grain of salt, because there's only 5 left in his whole kit. So they got to boost in strength. They definitely got to boost in strength. Like, Rapid Escape definitely has a boost in strength. But those are the 5 that are left. So yeah. That being said, Toad, pretty useful because you could transport other people with Toad. You could use Toad to basically, like how he attacked the inverse guy. You could use Toad in that sense where it could like launch an attack with its tongue. You could use Toad to basically wrap up your opponent and like throw him, or you could use Toad the way I would use Toad and become Spider-Man, have the Toads grab onto your arms and swing yourself across building to building. But Megumi's not doing that. Or you could just have a massive Toad, because they come again in all shapes and sizes. You could have a massive Toad climb on your back and shoot its tongue, and boom boom, you're swinging. But what am I? I wasn't born with 10 shadows, but I mean, shoot, like if I was, I would teach Megami a little something something about how to use creativity. That's all I'm saying. But basically, Toad's not too bad. At the end of the day, though, they are just Toads, and they could be wiped out pretty easy in battle. But they do add a level of like, oh, you got to be aware that they are around. But that's pretty much it. The next up on this list, coming in at number 10, is the Wells Unknown Abyss. All right, so this is our first combination Shikigami. So with the 10 Shadows technique, you're able to combine as many Shikigami as you'd like in order to create what's known as a totality. This is basically just Shikigami coming together. Now, a totality could be made from a Shikigami that was destroyed and now its powers are being merged into the other Shikigami, or you just combine a bunch of Shikigami together. Now, the Wells Unknown Abyss is not referred to as a totality. However, it is basically that, because you could just unmerge them once you release the technique. That being said, it is a totality made of Nue and Toad. And what does it look like? It looks like this. Just Toad with wings. Does it increase the strength of Megami? A little bit. But at the end of the day, it's Toad with wings, so we can't really rank it that high. Alright, if the main body was Nue, then we probably would put it higher, but it's not. So we're moving on. Alright, moving on to number 9, our first pretty offensive related Shikigami, I would say. I would say so. Divine Dogs, I would definitely say so. Or if I believe they refer to them as Demon Dogs in the anime. In the manga, it's Divine Dogs. But yeah, no, Divine Dogs, I like them. I like them a lot. The reason for it is because they're 2 wolves. They're really cool. They're good boys, and they know how to battle. They know how to battle really well, and they're gifted to you when you first inherit the technique. So just so you guys know, there's inherited techniques, and they are God, I am blanking. There's your curse technique and your inherited technique. So basically, inherited techniques are techniques that are passed down through your bloodline. Your curse technique is just your innate technique. I'm pretty sure it's just referred to as your innate technique. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, your innate technique is just like, hey, like nobody in my bloodline has this. Like think of Toto and Boogie Woogie. All right, nobody else has that, but there's been multiple 10 Shadows users or blood manipulation users. Okay, now you get it. There's been plenty of Limitless users. Okay, the Limitless is not just a one-off. Like there's plenty of people in the Gojo clan who more than likely have the Limitless. It's just that there's nobody with the Limitless and the 6 eyes that are born. All right, it's like every 400 years that comes out. But people with the 6 eyes, yes, there's plenty of them. People with the Limitless, yes, there's plenty of them. The only difference is that people with the 6 eyes can actually use the 6 eyes. People with the Limitless can't, because they can't master the technique without the 6 eyes. You get me? So you're pretty much hoping that you're born with the 6 eyes. Now, for Divine Dogs, yeah, like I said, they're offensive based. They are pretty useful for tracking. They can remember the scent of the exit of a domain expansion, which is insane. They get better as the totality happens, but yeah, they're just a useful all around Shikigami to start with, and obviously they're powerful because they help Megami exercise Nue, which is funny enough the next one on this list. Coming in at number 8, we have Nue. So Nue is the only flying Shikigami that he has other than the Wells Unknown Abyss, but we haven't really seen that one take flight the way that Nue has. That being said, Nue has the ability to generate electricity in its wings, which we have seen is pretty useful and pretty powerful. It also can carry Megami around, but it can't carry him around for long distances because Megami's cursed energy, although plentiful for the quantity of Shikigami he's able to summon, is not as powerful as we've seen Sukuna's, who was able to create a giant Nue, and he could carry multiple people on Nue, while Megami has to hold on to Nue, or Nue has to hold on to him, and basically it can only carry him for a short distance. So it's not the best for transportation. But if he's able to get his curse energy output a little bit higher, then yeah, that would be pretty awesome if Nue survived the manga. It didn't, so we're not going to see it again. If there's like a JJK part 2, or like how Solo Leveling has Ragnarok, yeah, if there's something like that that happens, we're not going to see Nue unless they, just rewrite the story of how the 10 Shadows work, which, I mean, he could really just do a binding vow to get them back probably, but we'll touch on that in a different video. So coming in at number 7, we have a Shikigami we never seen, never probably will see, but it's still a Shikigami. It's called Tiger Funeral. All right. So Tiger Funeral, we could assume from the totality that it's a tiger. It's a feminine looking tiger that stands on 2 legs and is basically a combative type of Shikigami. Okay. So we're gonna put it at number 7 because of the totality that it's mixed with, and we think that it's very powerful because of that, because the totality looks mainly like Tiger Funeral is the main body. And once I show you the photo, you might agree with me that it's probably the main body, which means, and it wasn't exercised yet, which means that since he didn't subjugate it to the ritual and he didn't defeat it and have it as a Shikigami to use, yes, it was probably not strong enough, or Megami was not strong enough to beat it. So if we're going off of that logic, then the Shikigami that Megami has plus Megami was not enough to beat it yet. That doesn't mean that all the Shikigami weren't stronger than it or more versatile than it, but Megami just did not see himself. And again, we touched on the Megami video. We'll touch on how his biggest weakness is his mentality. That being said, if he doesn't see himself beating it, he's not going to take the challenge because he doesn't really he's not enjoying the fight. That being said, Tiger Funeral, there's not really much I can say about it. We don't know if it has any special abilities. We don't know if it's 7 feet tall or like anything like that. We don't know how much it weighs. All we know is it's a tiger-like Shikigami, and I mean, since it's a tiger-like Shikigami, we could probably assume that it's pretty powerful because tigers are pretty badass. All right, they're coming in at like 400 pounds. They're the deadliest cat that I'm pretty sure we know of. Yeah, it's a tiger, bro. All right, so it's number 7, bro. Like, it's basically middle of the list. I feel like that's a safe spot where we could put it. But if you don't think that it should be there, go ahead and throw Nue on top of it. Even the Divine Dogs if you want, but that's all I'm saying. Coming in at number 6, we got Max Elephant. All right, I had to put Max Elephant on top of Tiger Funeral because at the end of the day, we're talking about a 2-ton, if not weighs more, elephant that can create its own water via cursed energy, right? That being said, the only thing that we've seen that creates its own water was Dagon, who was a special great cursed spirit. So it being able to create as much water as possible, as it does, then we have to assume it's a very powerful Shikigami. He just exercised it towards the end of season 1. That being said, he also said that it uses up a lot of cursed energy, so he can't summon multiple Shikigami and it. I think he gets around it a little bit towards the end of season 2, or towards the beginning of season 2, because we do see him get rid of Rabbit Escape and then summon Max Elephant. That could have just been a timing thing, but it seems like he summoned Max Elephant and then got rid of Rabbit Escape because of the when he landed it. But again, if it's really 2 tons, it's coming down pretty quickly. Max Elephant coming down on an opponent, that's going to cause a lot of damage. Max Elephant shooting up water into a small space is going to basically wipe out an opponent. It's good in combination attacks. We've seen with Max Elephant's water attack plus Nue. Yeah, it's a really good Shikigami to use. And plus, if you just have an elephant charging at you, that's pretty terrifying. And plus, the character design of Max Elephant is really cool. So yeah, it's coming in at number 6, and I feel confident about that. Coming in at number 5 is Roundier, which is one of the awesome Shikigami that he has. He doesn't get access to it, but I would say that Roundier is one of the better Shikigami that anybody could have. And the reason for it is because Megami doesn't know RCT, Reverse Curse Technique, but Roundier does. Roundier releases reverse curse technique. Well, not really reverse curse technique. It releases positive energy into like its own like simple domain type thing. So if you're in the vicinity of round deer, then you're constantly being healed without having to use your own reverse curse technique or positive energy or cursed energy output. So that being said, since it produces its own positive energy, kind of how Maharaga does with his sword of extermination, that alone is awesome for you because it provides you healing abilities, and it also dispels any curses that would enter that space because positive energy is a negative for curses. It basically wipes them out. Again, these are not curses that Megami is summoning. These are his shadows, using cursed energy as a the shadows are a conduit. You provide cursed energy to the shadow, and then it takes the form of a Shikigami, which basically now possesses that shadow. So these are just legit shadows. That being said, round deer is massive, and it's not very offensive based, but it does provide healing and positive energy. So yeah, I would say that even if like your opponent tries to use a cursed object or a cursed tool against you and it enters that space, it's gonna basically be dispelled, or at least at the very least have a negative effect on that tool or object because of the positive energy that's being flooded into it. That being said, we're gonna move on to another offensive based Shikigami in number 4, Piercing Ox. So Piercing Ox has only ever been shown once, but when we did see it, it did cause a lot of damage. I believe it was a fight that Sukuna had with the girl who possessed, I think her name was Yorozo. I think it was that fight, and she possessed Megami's sister's body. And Piercing Ox is a really good offensive Shikigami. I would dare say it's the most offensive base because if you allow Piercing Ox to run in a straight direction for long periods of time, guess what? The impact once it finally hits an object is extremely powerful. So it gets more power as it runs in a straight line. So if it has to stop and turn, it loses all that momentum and all that power. But the more you allow it to run in a straight line, by the time it hits its target, the impact is multiplied even greater. That being said, it could be, it doesn't have a cap, so it could be as strong as possible, or it could be really weak if you forced it to turn. So Piercing Ox is all or nothing. It's kind of like an enhancer in I guess not enhancers in Hunter x Hunter. They have also like the way that works. You get like, I think it's like 80% of this, 60% of that, 20%, 40%, something like that. So it's not all or nothing, but you get what I mean. Like it would be a enhancer type of Nen ability. That's Piercing Ox in a nutshell. It's basically all offense all the time. So moving on, number 3. All right. We're going to move on to the big boys now, you feel me? So we got Nue Totality. So Agito is a combination of Round Deer, Nue, and Tiger Funeral. And when you see this photo, you would understand why I think that Tiger Funeral is the main body, okay? Because you're not going to tell me that Round Deer, once you see Round Deer's photo, is the main body. And you're not going to tell me that Nue is the main body, all right? So this beast is able to use all 3 of their abilities. Basically the boxingness of Tiger Funeral, the electricity of Nue, and the healing aspect and positive energy output of Round Deer, which makes it just an all-around badass. That being said, it did not hold weight when it came to Gojo. All right, it wasn't able to keep up in the fight with Gojo. It got taken out by a blue, which basically means that all 3 of those Shikigami got taken out as well. That sucks for Megami, but it is what it is. Divine Dog Totality coming in at number 2. All right, we got Divine Dog Totality, which is what happened when one of the Divine Dogs was taken out by a special grade Cursed Womb in the prison, and then eventually Megami created a Totality versus Hanami. And the reason it's coming in at number 2 is 1, because it was shown to injure a special grade Cursed Spirit in Hanami, and 2, Hanami was known to have the strongest durability of all the disaster curses, because it was shown that if not shown, but Gege said that if Yuji were to land all those black flashes that he landed on Hanami on, say for example, Jogo was his example, which is either top 1 or top 2 disaster curses in output and strength, yeah, he wouldn't have survived. Straight up. Just like that, Gege said that he would have beaten Jogo. where Jogo could melt like an entire city. So that being said, I'm not saying that Jogo would have let him get that close because Jogo's not a hand-to-hand combative. He is more like I'm a shoot you down. He's like in solo leveling, he would be a mage for 100%. That being said, though, Divine Dog Totality was able to injure Hanami, strongest defensive capabilities of the Disaster Curses, and the third option of why I think that Divine Dog Totality should be number 2 in his rank, in his 10 Shadows Shikigami, is because towards the end of the story in the manga, the extra cut that basically Gege released for us, I don't think it's, no, it's not even in the extra cut. It's the very last chapter. We see Divine Dog Totality, and it's massive at this point. It is absolutely huge. And that's because of all the Shikigami that was eliminated, plus what Megami went through being the vessel of Sukuna towards the end of the story, and basically being the bad guy, and basically until he was released and found his will to live again. He basically had no will to live, so he definitely got a ton, and I mean a ton of cursed energy reserves now, especially since his sister's no longer with us. That being said, Divine Totality is huge now, so it has to be so much stronger than what it was previously. So it probably could body a special grade by itself. Can it? Maybe. Don't know for sure, but probably, since it was already able to injure a special grade. And it beat a special grade, actually. What am I talking about? It did beat a special grade towards the end of season 1. So yeah, 100% could beat a special grade by itself. Coming in at number 1, we have the king of the story himself. Not the story, but you know what I mean. I always have to read this. It's 8-handled sword Divergent Scylla Divine General Maharaga. Alright, so Maharaga, oh my god. I feel like every time I talk about Megami, I have to talk about Maharaga. Alright, so Maharaga, adaptation is his ability. Alright, he can adapt to anything. If you hit him with a curse technique that doesn't wipe him out on the first blow, which is the only way to get rid of him, you have to take him out with a technique on the first attempt. If you hit him with something and it doesn't take him out, he will slowly adapt to that ability. Now, if you hit him with that ability again, the time it takes dwindles down for him to adapt to it. So if it takes this long and you hit him again, it takes this long, you hit him again, it takes this long, you hit him again, he adapted. So now that he's adapted to the ability, every time you hit him with it, he's going to now do something to negate it. So say, for example, if it was like a punch to the gut, right? Well, now, if it was to cave in his gut the first time, but it didn't wipe him out, guess what? Now his gut is made of like steel, and you're gonna get like a broken hand when you hit him. It's just not gonna affect him. So he's able to nullify things that would normally wipe him out. He also has this Sword of Extermination, which is constantly radiating positive energy, so he's able to wipe out Shikigami by himself. He's able to basically do like an air cannon through his mouth. He adapted to be able to breathe underwater. It was insane. In his fight versus Sukuna, we really couldn't base like what size he was, but like in his fight versus even in his fight versus Gojo, at first he like looked huge, and then like he like shrunk down. So I don't know if he has size manipulation or not, but he has something. Other than that, he even could break out of a domain, because if the user of the 10 Shadows Shikigami is using the adaptation, if like they are taking the impact and allowing the adaptation to happen to them, it passes on to Maharaga. So then if the user was adapted to the domain expansion, Maharaga gets summoned, Maharaga could break the domain. So that's an instant cheat code to get out of a domain expansion. So if you have a cheat code like Maharaga to get you out of any domain expansion where you don't have to go into a domain clash and then you use your domain expansion, because your opponent more than likely is not Satoru Gojo, and they're not going to be able to use their domain again. So you summon Maharaga, you use him to break the domain, then you use your domain expansion, and now guess what? You just won the fight. Huh, cheat code. So yeah, if you have that, then I'm going to go ahead and say 100%. That is number one. Number one for 100%. And if you like my list, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I forgot to say all that during the Megami video, but do me the favor since I'm saying it now. Please remember kindly. Thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm going to see you guys in the next video. And yeah, just know that Megami video, I'm recording this at like midnight on the same day. And I'm pretty tired. So don't chew me out on that video. See you guys.